Please describe your job title and primary duties.
I was just like an associate was basically my official title. So an associate basically does like different departments. So when I first got there, I was only trained in like the back stock room. So my duties were essentially every day that we would get a truck stock, I would take the items off of the pallets and then we would sort everything that came in the large boxes based off of the departments that they put in. So we had like a bin for every department and then I would just be in charge of that. And then once we would finish that every day, whatever clothes that we got in our truck, that day I would be in charge of like processing them, so like putting them on the hangers, like sizing them accordingly, and then putting them based off of what they were in the correct like rack so that they would go out based off if they were like men's clothes or kids' clothes or women's. And then since then, I've been there for about a year and 6 months now. So since then, I've also been trained in the front line, so like a register like cashier person. And then I've also been trained in the women's department, men's department, and sportswear.
What was the work environment like?
It's very laid back actually. So I've actually worked at 2 different stores because I worked at my store at home and then when I came here, they were actually very good about transferring me so that I could continue to work for the company. So my store at home was very like, it was a lot more kind of like regimented than it is now. Now it's a lot more laid back because of the people that I work with are all college kids mostly. But at my store at home, it was still pretty laid back though. I mean, they were really good with like flexible hours and stuff like that. They were pretty good about. So, I mean, everything was pretty nice. Never really had any complaints. Always loved going to work, so.
What was your favorite part about working there?
Definitely the customer experience that you get. I mean, every day you're interacting with customers and you get real world experience about how to deal with a lot of like different people yelling at you all the time because you get that in retail and arguing with you over prices. So I had a lot of that all the time. And I think it really helped me with like real world experience of dealing with difficult people.
Please describe the application and interview process.
So you can either apply in-line or with a paper application. So I applied in person with paper application. So you just fill it out, it's like a 2-page application, and then you turn that into like the hiring manager. And when I applied, they were like really looking right away. So I scheduled my interview for like literally the following Monday if I applied on a Friday. And then I went in that day for my interview, and then after my interview, I got a call like maybe 2 hours later that they wanted me to work for them. So it was very quick.
What questions did the interviewer ask during the job interview?
Some of the questions I remember, they asked me like how you would handle dealing with difficult customers because that's obviously something that you have to deal with in retail. They asked me what kind of qualities I thought would best help me to thrive in that environment with retail. And then they asked, they asked like very basic questions. They didn't really give like situational or anything like that. It was honestly more focused on like, when are your hours, what can you do, like how comfortable are you working with people, how comfortable are you working with money, stuff like that. So.
How were you notified that you received the job?
Well, my job that I had before that was at Panera Bread, so I already had like a lot of like customer experience because I worked on a register there too. So I dealt with money like pretty much every day. So I thought that that was very helpful because I worked there for like 6 or 8 months, so I had a lot of cashier experience already. And just the fact that it was over summer when I applied, so I had pretty much open availability that I was able to give them, and they really liked that. So.
But yeah, when they notified you about the job, that you got the job, how did they contact you and how long did it take for them to reach you after the interview?
It was a phone call that they had, and they essentially just told me that they contacted my references first. So I think that since both my references like answered right away, then it was a very efficient process that they called me within like 2 hours after my interview. So.
What set you apart from other candidates?
Well, my job that I had before that was at Panera Bread, so I already had like a lot of like customer experience because I worked on a register there too. So I dealt with money like pretty much every day. So I thought that that was very helpful because I worked there for like 6 or 8 months, so I had a lot of cashier experience already. And just the fact that it was over summer when I applied, so I had pretty much open availability that I was able to give them, and they really liked that. So.
What other advice would you give to a job seeker looking to gain employment?
I think my advice would just be to like kind of be open because I think what they look for right away, like I mentioned when I first started there, I was only working in like the back room. I'd honestly give the advice of just like being open and being like a real person because when you go in for an interview, sometimes you get caught up in the fact that like, oh, like I need to be all prim and proper and everything. But I think the company really looks for people to be like able to give that personal touch and like that personal experience. And I think that a lot of times that definitely helps them get more involved in the company right away. Because I know a lot of people that in their interview, based off of their interview, they were given like coordinator positions right away.